Hi, everyone. John Michael Coppola here, and welcome to the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, where we chat with the actors, directors, choreographers, designers, and producers shaping the Chicagoland area's one-of-a-kind theater scene. We're so excited that you're here with us today, but before we get started, I just want to remind you to please like, subscribe to, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues who you think would appreciate the conversations we're having. We'd be so grateful to have your support in this way so that we can continue to bring these stories for years to come. Thanks again for being here, and now, curtain up on today's episode. Today's guest has been a theater maker for over 40 years. He's an actor, singer, and playwright whose first area bow was in Marriott Theatre's production of 1776 nearly 30 years ago. Since then, he's been seen on many Chicago area stages, including the Goodman Theatre, Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, Drury Lane Theatre, First Folio Theatre, Oak Park Festival Theatre, and Porchlight Music Theatre, just to name a few. He has also added the moniker of producer to his ever-growing list of hyphens with the creation of SoloChicago Theatre, and his Jeff Award-winning production of Churchill ran off-Broadway for 6 months, earning audience and critical acclaim. Those of you familiar with his work may have already guessed that today my guest is none other than Chicago's original journeyman, Ronald Keaton. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Let's go to the top of the show. Mr. Keaton, how are you, my friend?
I'm well, thank you. I'm highly pleased and flattered to be here.
As I am to have you on the podcast, so thank you so much for joining me. So listen, as is the custom here on the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, I like to ask all of my guests from the very start, give us a little bit about your background, where you're from, a little bit about your training, and most importantly, what your first theatrical experience was.
Oh,
if you would.
Wow. Okay.
Take all the time you need.
Well, that's okay. I could start back with, I was born in a log cabin in Louisville, Kentucky, but I won't do that.
No, please. We've got all the time in the world.
I'm actually from eastern Indiana, east of Indianapolis,
okay,
about 50 miles or so, a little town called Newcastle.
Okay.
Newcastle is just south of Muncie, where Ball State University is located.
Okay.
Gosh, let's see. My hometown's greatest claim to fame is...
It's not Ronald Keaton?
No, it's not. It
Aww.
is the largest high school gymnasium in the country.
Wow.
Believe it or
That's
not.
quite the claim to fame.
It sounds goofy. I'll get past this in a second.
Yeah.
My town has like 16,000, 17,000 people in it. And the high school gym seats 9,300 people.
Wow.
Because it's basketball in Indiana. And
sure.
Everybody goes to basketball on Fridays and Saturday nights, and every night this gym is full. It's astounding.
Wow.
Anyway.
That's a great little factoid, though.
Well,
it's fun.
People there are awfully proud of it. It's a hole in the ground built up to ground level, and people had their wages garnished to actually build it.
Whoa.
So, la-di-da.
Yeah.
I had a very simple upbringing. We moved around a lot all over eastern Indiana, but then I ended up back in my hometown. My training is I went to both Ball State and Indiana University to study theater. I also had a double major in theater and drama and broadcast communications, and I had a minor in American history.
Amazing.
So I have a huge penchant for history, certain periods here and there. I'll sit and talk with you about it all day.
Amazing.
The first show I ever did.
Well, let's talk about the first show you ever saw.
Oh, first thing I ever saw.
First experience for you, yeah.
All right. I can say this in two ways, John.
Okay.
One, the first theater I ever physically saw in my life was actually here in Chicago. It was a one-person show done by James Whitmore on Will Rogers.
Wow.
It was done at the Auditorium Theater.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old friend of mine, family friend, bring me up to Chicago from Indiana. He surprised me because he was up here on business. We stayed in a hotel. Can't remember where it was, but it was somewhere near Lakeshore Drive. And we went to the Auditorium Theater, and I saw this single man in his stuff with an almost sold out Auditorium Theater all by himself. I was just flabbergasted by the fact that this man could twist and turn and entertain and cajole all these people, because at the time this tour back in the early 70s was very hot, and it was one of those tickets that everybody wanted to get. I don't know how my friend Mitch got them, but he did. The first show I ever did was a musical production of the Amish creation Plain and Fancy.
Yeah.
I was in the chorus. I actually had a solo. It was the ABCs of vegetables, and I can recite it to this day. And I will.
I bet you can.
But you know, when those are the kinds of things that leave an imprint on you, because what I really enjoyed was, I mean, I loved the work, but I was 12 years old and I saw all these people around me in this camaraderie that I'd never really felt before. And so I'd sit and watch people. I was a kid in the corner watching everybody do their work, talk with each other, picking up things here and there that I could use. I was one of those kids, apparently in junior high and high school, they did a lot of shows at the high school that required some small child or some younger person. And I was the one who always got brought in. So by the time I got to high school, I had already done 4 or 5 different shows in town. And, well, I was very lucky in that regard. I had 2 mentors. We all have those teachers that we thank, and both of them were blessings to me. One of them was a music teacher who lived in Milwaukee, who actually, when I moved to Chicago, she came down to see me all the time in work. And the other one was my theater/English teacher, who even took the time to come to see me in New York.
Oh, wow.
You know, you can't.
That's special.
You can't beat that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely not.
I have been very fortunate in my upbringing. It wasn't classic, it wasn't formal, but boy, I got a lot exposed to me, and I've held on to it as long as I could and tried to share it as much as I could as well.
That's fantastic. So any other hobbies that maybe you thought would become a career, or that always got pushed by the wayside because theater was that main love, or was theater just it for you from the very beginning?
I always had hobbies, but no. I'll tell you what really drove me to the theater. I was 6 years old. It was a program, NBC Saturday Night at the Movies. And I saw Danny Kaye do the court jester.
Oh, yes. Classic.
I mean, John, I sat there just transfixed by this man who was having so much fun.
Oh, sure.
And I said, I want to do that. And
Yeah.
so from the time I was 6 years old, this is what I wanted to do. And I've always been one of the lucky ones because I've been able to do it ever since.
Yeah, and talk about another, tour de force solo. Even though the court jester's not a solo performance, I mean, without Danny Kaye, there is no court jester.
Without Danny Kaye, there is no court jester. Exactly. Yeah. No, he. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I won't take this too far. I think he's vastly underrated still.
I agree.
In the pantheon of show business talent. This man could do anything, and I followed him to find out. One of my favorites. Sort
of surprising, at least not to my knowledge, that there hasn't been a solo show about his life, like a one-man show.
I don't think there is. I'm not the person to do it, obviously,
but nor I.
You want you want someone in their 40s or so when he was in his real prime. I mean, the man could dance, he could sing. He had a lovely, tender monologue in Hans Christian Andersen that I wish I could copy to this day.
Yeah.
these are the people I followed and emulated as much as possible as a young kid.
Yeah.
I love actors. I
Yeah.
love good actors. And I love, most of all, actors who are generous and will give time and in their performance give you their souls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I fear that that's a dying breed sometimes.
It is.
We'll touch on that a little later, I think. But tell us how you actually wound up in Chicago, making this both your residency and your creative home base.
I lived in Indianapolis at the time. I had just gotten divorced. And to a fine woman who hated my job.
I'm sorry, and I guess I should say congratulations.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She wanted more security than I could offer.
Yeah.
And I, as I'm sure you well know, I live my life by the creative impulse.
Mm-hmm.
So in November of 1986, I moved to Chicago. Actually, it was 2 days before Thanksgiving. Don't ever move during the holidays. Ever. But it was the smartest thing I did. I got here. I started auditioning almost immediately. I didn't get a job. This is a story I'll share.
Okay.
I didn't get a job until February or March. I had auditioned out at the Marriott in Lincolnshire for a production of 1776.
Oof. Great show.
2-3 weeks went by and I hadn't heard anything, and my bank account was dwindling and all. I had an afternoon where I reached into a drawer. We all have a junk drawer that we just throw stuff.
Uh-huh.
I found a dime and 26 pennies. And I put them in my pocket. I walked down the street to the first church I saw. True story. I walked in. I put the money in the collection plate. I sat in one of the pews, and I said, and I'm not at all a religious person, but I said, "Help me. I am at my wit's end, and I don't know what to do." There was a gentleman sitting up front, not sitting, he was the maintenance person in the church.
Yeah.
He saw me come in. He turned around and looked at me. Sorry, I surprised myself here.
It's okay.
He turned around and looked at me, and I got out of the church and I walked back to my apartment, and lo and behold, on my answering machine, there was a call from Carrie Walker to Marriott saying, "We want to hire you for 1776.
Wow.
I cried like a baby.
I love that story.
I can't explain it. I don't know why, but I think everybody probably has one of those desperate moments where they think to themselves, "Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I could be so much healthier, working as an assistant or something."
Yeah.
But, pal, I don't know what else I would have done with my life. So,
wow.
So there you are. One little story. And
so that was 1986. So you've been
yeah.
So that's how many years? I'm not doing the math quickly, but you probably have
39 years ago.
39 years ago.
39 years. And I can knock on wood. I mean, I've had my down times. I've had struggle like we all have.
Yeah.
But I have had, except for one, I'm bragging, so forgive me.
It's okay. That's what this is for. Partially.
Except for the first real COVID year of 2021 when none of us were working.
Yeah.
I have had a contract, a code agreement, some kind of union job every year since I joined the union in 1982.
That's fabulous. Very few people can say that.
I'm very proud of it too, and because the idea is just, there's a difference between knowing what the next show is and conducting your business as a career.
Yeah, give us some advice on that. How you've been able to weather the difficult times in order to see yourself through. Because I think a lot of younger listeners could probably use some of that advice. Because that's the stuff that theater schools and universities don't teach.
Nobody teaches that. And I think it's because, and I'll just guess here, but I think it's because a lot of people who teach couldn't handle the regimen, couldn't handle the challenges. And I'm not putting anybody down for that.
Yeah.
It's just that, being an actor, being an artist of any kind, requires a different kind of commitment than any 5-day-a-week job.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often during those 5 days, you're preparing for the audition, or you are going to audition. Most of the time, we all get turned down for the things that we aspire to do.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we have to be innovative and hustle and hit the sidewalks and do those part-time jobs and on and on and on. That will never change.
Right.
What will change, if you're worth your salt, is your attitude toward it all and how committed you are. I got a good one here. I wish I could remember who said it, but one of my favorite quotes is, "The truly committed actor always goes to where the work is."
Mm-hmm.
I have lived by that. That's why I moved to Chicago. Or out in the hinterlands or whatever. The fact is, your commitment to your work is as important as any other commitment in your whole life.
Yeah.
Especially, again, as you choose to live by your creative wits.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I write. It's why I sing. It's why I direct. It's why I'm a stage manager, an arts advocate. I write theater criticism in town here sometimes now. Anything that I can do to keep my finger in the pie, I will do it.
That's amazing. And, it's actually a really great segue for my next question. So let's talk about Churchill and let's talk about SoloChicago. I mean, you're part of the creative spark that we have to keep in ourselves when the phone's not ringing is to create our own work. So I'm sure that probably had a little bit to do with it. And obviously you've mentioned you had a minor degree in history. So give us, I mean, it's Churchill's not American history, but he is part of our American history in some ways, in lots of ways. So just let's hear it from your side about how you decided to start SoloChicago, why you chose Churchill, and what types of ideas and thoughts you have about solo performance.
Oh, tons of those. So cut me off whenever you're bored.
No need to.
I needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I needed a job. The auditions weren't coming, and not to my liking anyway. And I needed to create my own opportunity. Mm-hmm. In the fall of 2012, I sat down and made a list of pros and cons. What's good about me, what's bad about me as a performer. Mm-hmm. And I realized that the things I had in my favor were history, dialect, and the ability to memorize lots of dialogue in a short period of time. Okay, that seemed easy enough. Then I decided, who looks like me? Who can I physically suggest?
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, Churchill was one of the very first people I thought of. So I did my research. I found a wonderful little 1 hour performance that apparently appeared on PBS sometime in the mid-'80s with the English actor Robert Hardy. Robert Hardy played Cornelius Fudge in the Harry Potter films. Anyway,
okay.
And he was best friends with Richard Burton and all that. It was a wonderfully put together little piece, and I drew a lot of inspiration from that. So I did my research. I found a historian who would talk to me down in Missouri, and I put a script together. I used this historian, Dr. James C. Humes. Dr. Humes is famous for, he wrote on the plaque, "We came in peace for all mankind," that's sitting on the moon.
Wow.
Yeah, in 1969. Yeah.
No slouch.
No, not at all. And, I got lucky. I wrote him. He was a Churchill aficionado, so he wrote me back, and we talked on the phone and all of that. He was a delightful man. So I wrote the script. There was a lovely woman who used to work here in town who eventually ventured out to become a director of a couple of, performing arts centers around the Midwest. Her name was Tina Salamone. Tina was a friend. She was working in Iowa at the time, and I said, "Tina, I'm going to send you this script. I'm just trying to find a place to do it." She read it. As soon as she finished it, she called me back and she said, "I'll give you a shot. This is pretty good." Okay. So then we started talking about salary. This is a totally new realm for me.
Sure.
I didn't know how to, react. And so I said to her, "Tina, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't have any idea what to ask you for, because this kind of negotiation, although in the theater it's common, for a solo artist is brand new to me." And she said, "How about," which was into four figures. I sat for about half a second and I said, "Sure, that's fine." Fine. So I had my first performance of Churchill on September 14th, 2013 at the Performing Arts Center in Burlington, Iowa. I got through the whole show. I got off stage. I'm exhausted and emotional and all of that. And Tina comes into me and she goes, "Well, you're not done yet. You have to say hello to people in the lobby."
The good old meet and greet.
Exactly. So I had my first solo meet and greet. Anyway, from there, I found places around our area here that would book me. One was First Folio, who booked me twice, as a matter of fact, that spring 2014. Eventually, forgive me for rambling.
No, not at all.
Eventually, I ended up at the Greenhouse Theater Center down on Lincoln, which used to be the old Victory Gardens.
Yep.
My old friend Jason Epperson said, "Ron, we're going to close this show because it's losing people. How soon could you mount your Churchill?" I said, "Jason, how soon do you need it?" So then is when SoloChicago was formed. My friend and one of the great directors in town, who doesn't get nearly the work he needs, Kurt Johns. Kurt and I, on a handshake, formed SoloChicago Theatre. I did my first performance in August. We ran for 14 weeks. We took the show to New York and ran 6 months off Broadway.
I remember.
We came back here and ran 9 more weeks. It was the great professional experience of my life. Ever since then, I've been trying to repeat it.
Well, you're not done yet.
Oh, not at all. Not a bit. I have all kinds of ambitions still. Since then, I have written 3 other solo pieces. And I just finished, I literally just finished one last night about 9:30. I'll give you a scoop if you want a scoop.
Always the scoop.
I'm pretty proud of this, John. Next year, because this hadn't even entered my mind when I started the project. Next year is America's 250th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on a piece about Ben Franklin.
Oh, wow.
I can't tell you when that realization hit me in the past couple of weeks, and I said to myself, "Oh my God, there is serendipity here somehow."
quick, get Lin-Manuel Miranda on the phone.
Bingo.
or rather, don't, because he might come up.
I don't care who you are. Can you book me? So now, I literally just finished the first draft. I got to go back, tighten it up, blah, 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 blah. Because it took me forever to find the hook to tell the story.
Uh-huh.
But once I did, oh my God, it came out like that. Just briefly, it's about his time in Paris when he was asked to go to France and get them to help us during the revolution.
Mm.
He took his grandson with him, 16-year-old boy. His name was Temple. Temple Franklin became Ben Franklin's secretary and recorded everything that happened. He had his own ambitions, on and on and on. It's a lovely bit of history to dive into and watch and read and all. And that's what the play is about. Wow. I want to get my shot, as Mr. Miranda said. I just want my shot.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, okay, there's always the next one.
Well, I mean, the timing really couldn't be more ideal.
I hope so.
So is the ambition, I assume, then, is to have the first production be next year at some point?
Yeah, and somewhere here in Chicago, because this is home for me. Yeah. Anything after that is gravy. I just want a shot to show people. I know you're a solo performer, as a cabaret person and singing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know how that feels.
Oh, yes.
Standing up there, you're the one in control. You know what you have to offer, and you just revel in it. I know you do.
It's enjoyable.
I love this work. It's not all I do, of course. I audition for things all the time. But I love standing up there as a character and telling a story. Ultimately, the artist is always the storyteller, no matter what form it takes. And I have become more comfortable now in the past few years actually giving myself the privilege of that moniker. I am a storyteller. And I don't know what else I would do with my life, even at this point.
Yeah.
So
how long did it take from the first idea of Churchill until the first performance? And similarly, how long has it taken for the Ben Franklin project, where they...
Well, they are different experiences. Churchill was first, so I'm learning as I go. The writing process for the script lasted probably 7-8 months or so. I had a lot, as you can imagine, a lot of research.
Yeah.
Because, Churchill was one of those people I always admire. I hate the word polymath. I love the phrase Renaissance man or woman. So that's what I continue to call these people.
Sure.
Churchill, not only was he a politician, he was a writer, he was a teacher, he did this, he did, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that appealed to me greatly. The same thing with Ben Franklin. Yeah. Teacher, writer, scientist, botanist. He invented the post office. All this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to emulate those people. I want to be one of those people when I grow up. And I'm still at it. So
because you haven't grown up yet.
Not yet. Not yet. At least to the point where I have on my wall. Here we are. You see behind me?
I do.
Okay. I have quotes on my wall. I call it the wisdom wall. I've been doing this for a little while now. And I just put up a couple of days ago a quote that I'm going to take the time and read to you on my other wall here by
Please do.
James Earl Jones. He says, "The secret is never forgetting that you're a journeyman actor and nothing is your final thing, nothing is your greatest thing, nothing is your worst thing. I still consider myself a novice."
Wow.
Look who we're talking about. One
Yeah.
of the most accomplished people in the business, and he still says, I'm still learning. If he can do it, I can too. So,
Well, that's for damn sure.
so
So I really am
thank
so
you
glad
for
to
that
hear that.
indulgence. Thank
Oh,
you.
no, of course. And, someone like me who, I've been in the business, put myself on a hiatus for about 10 years and
Yeah.
I'm creeping myself back in lots of different ways. It's nice to sort of hear those words. It gives me a little bit more of an opportunity to, a little bit more of a fire under me to keep it going. So,
Well, one
so
thing
thank
that
you for
we
that.
all
Appreciate
have to do in this business that so few people don't is take care of each other.
it. Yes.
You know?
Agreed.
I want to be one of those people who walks the walk. And so few people really practice that. There's an empathy now that needs to be injected into our business to remind us that we're all in the same boat. We're all dealing with the same issues. The chaos of the world right now is maddening. So we have to be the ones who help lead us to comfort. And that's the job of the artist. The artist is a storyteller. Stories will always be told. So,
Indeed. So we've gotten some thoughts on your inspirations and people you looked up to. Churchill, obviously, Danny Kaye. Who are some of the people here in town that you admire, either from your past, currently, people who you've got your eye on these days?
oh my, yeah. Bob Falls. Bob
Yes.
Falls is my age. He's an Illinois native, I believe. He's accomplished. He's open. He's a big, burly teddy bear kind of guy. Henry Godinez. These are people who, well, as I said, these are Renaissance people. If you follow Henry has a job at every place in town.
Just about.
He works
Yeah.
at Western. He's at the Goodman. He was one of the founders of Teatro Vista. He did this and that. I still have that in me to want to help people like that. Who else? Actors I have yet to work with. I'm a big fan of Janet Ulrich Brooks.
I am as well. I had the opportunity
love her.
I had the opportunity to work with her last year. She was our Golda in a production of Fiddler at Drury Lane that I associate choreographed.
Isn't she fabulous?
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And a fabulous person, not just fabulous on
Of
stage.
course she is.
Yeah.
I just did a reading for an old hand around town who just got back named John Herrera. He wrote a piece about Ernest Hemingway that I read for him. Who else? A lot of folks who are still in the business, who are, how do I say this? Probably because I am mature now. These are people that I haven't done nearly enough work with that I would love to see and talk to and buy the first round for any time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love learning from others. As a producer of sorts yourself, the pitfalls of how exceedingly difficult this job is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having trouble producing myself, let alone other people. So, especially now when the art of the independent producer here in town is all but dried up, thanks to the financial impositions that we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
So you got to hustle, even more than what you think you do. But if I didn't have that responsibility in me, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be a great bartender. That's about it.
Do you have any favorite theatrical experiences that you've witnessed here in town, out there as an audience member, or that you've been a part of outside of SoloChicago, let's say, give it a wider net?
In 2006, I did a production of King Lear down at the Goodman with Stacy Keach.
Whoa.
One of the great American actors who ever walked. Another actor, wonderful actor from Washington, Edward Giro.
I don't know him.
Okay, Eddie Giro is I think he just retired this year, as a matter of fact, from George Mason University. Absolutely pristine classical actor. These two guys did a scene between Lear and Gloucester out on the prairie. And every night, the cast would gather on either side of the stage and watch these two men work. It was a clinic every night. Not only was it a clinic, it was different almost every night because they would play with each other. That's how well they knew their dialogue. And to watch Stacy go off down here, and I mean, you could tell that he was saying these words for the first time. I hope someday, somehow, I can have that kind of power to inspire someone else. Because ever since I saw Stacy do that, I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. To learn from someone while you're at work.
Yeah.
What a privilege. What an absolute privilege. Yeah. That's the one that sticks in my mind most.
Wow. And any, as an audience member, that you might recall that you were just blown away? But let's say outside of the first theater experience, obviously we know about that one already.
I actually have two of them.
Great.
One is, again, at the old Goodman in the early 90s. They did a production of a musical version of Arthur Kopit's Wings. A marvelous actor named Linda Stevens played the lead. It was a musical. The vast majority of the dialogue in the play was hers. And it's about a woman who used to be an airplane wing walker, who had a stroke and ended up with a kind of aphasia in her speech. Watching this woman work was just breathtaking. She, every word, I've never seen a performance like it. It's one of the few performances, like I mentioned with Stacy, one of the few performances that I actually learned from, that I could take with me. She did this as an example of being older. This is what happens when she did her hands and she had her stroke and her hands all of a sudden did this. Just takes your breath away. That kind of exhibition of knowledge put to work in a good way. The other was just recently down at the Court Theatre with the wonderful Tim Kaine doing an Iliad.
Oh,
it is a solo piece. It's an adaptation of the famous epic poem, but very accessible and very comfortable for the audience to watch. And Mr. Kaine, who I worked with a time or two at Chicago Shakespeare, my goodness, his command of the stage. He knew the script so well because he had done it more than once. But the point is, he knew how to take us with him too. And we went like on horses. It was stupendous to watch. Those two things I rank together as performances that, I not only learned from, but I hope to take with me and inspire other people too as well. If I can be arrogant enough to say I might be able to inspire someone someday.
Well, given the many things you've seen, that's quite the endorsement, because it really, you have, I'm sure, have seen more than your share of wonderful performances.
Oh, I have. Don't get me wrong.
Been a part of them.
I've been lucky enough to have seen a lot of stuff, but those two are the ones that jump out in my head.
What's the best piece of advice you could give to people who are just starting out in this business. Which, by the way, I want to say before I forget, I don't know that you know this. You were the first non-Jersey Boys Chicago actor who I had not worked with that I ever met at an audition. I don't know if you remember this. I live here in Skokie. Jersey Boys had closed. I did a couple of shows here in town. And I had an audition at Northlight. And you were the monitor for it.
I was the monitor, yeah.
And it was the first time I met you. And you were so kind and so gracious.
I hope I treated you with some modicum of respect.
You absolutely did. And you said, hey, listen, I know you're new here in town. You know, give it about a week or two before this goes by and shoot these people a handwritten note, because that goes a really long way. And I never forgot that. That was the very first time I met you. When I saw you every time after that, I knew, sure as hell knew who Ronald Keaton was, because you were so kind to me my very first audition that I had stepped out to attempt here in town. So I thank you for that. So you are inspiring people all the time, even if you don't know.
You have no idea what that means to me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. I've always held that memory, and I don't know that I ever shared it with you. So there you have it. So on to, what kind of advice might you have for the younger people younger than I, just starting out?
I may have already said it. I wish I could remember who wrote it, but I keep it like it's a biblical quote. The truly committed actor goes to where the work is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That works for me. That was what taught me.
Yeah.
And as a young actor, before... let me put an addendum to that.
Yeah, please do.
I was still living in Indianapolis. My marriage was failing. And I had a couple of old friends. We went out and had pizza one night or whatever it was. And the first friend told me, you know, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm not sure. I'd kind of like to move to Chicago because, you know, I can build something there. And he said, well, Ron, you're the only actor I know here in town that would even have a shop there.
Wow. That's an awfully nice thing to say.
And I said, well, Galen, thank you. And next to him, my friend Bob, he goes, I'm with him. So 6 months later, I ended up in Chicago. It was an advice from friends, but it still means a lot. You know?
Now, did you know anybody here when you came?
I knew very few people, but no. I really didn't know anybody. I did my own research on an apartment. I drove back and forth. When I first moved here, I found a place out in Oak Park. And I stayed there. I actually took over someone else's lease, stayed there 6 months. Then ended up moving back closer to where I am now here in Rogers Park. I'm right at the border between Rogers Park and Evanston. And I have lived here the vast majority of my time here. Where was I going with that? Yes, I find myself in our business. We often are very transient, very nomadic, because of the work, you know?
Yeah.
So some 30 years ago or so, I got a P.O. box up in Evanston at the South Post Office on Main Street. I still maintain it to this day. And that's where I get most of my mail. First of all, it's a place to store my mail. Secondly, it gets me out of the house. You know, I can go check my mail. So, as long as you know who you are in this business, I'm evidence. You can pretty much adapt to anything. If you can't adapt, then you probably shouldn't be in the business. So find something else that'll fill that hole in your heart.
Which is tough. When you're a creative type, it's tough.
Yes. It's always tough.
And actually, I can relate because, when I was doing this 12, 15 years ago, I was much younger than I am now.
Yep.
Didn't have as many grays in my hair. In fact, I had 0 gray in my hair. So coming back into it, I was always sort of a character man type from a height perspective. I'm 5'5". But now that I've sort of grown into the age as well, that's where I'm sort of aiming my focus, those roles that I'm right for at
That's
this
what you need to
age
do
of the
too.
game.
It probably hasn't hit you yet because you're still a strikingly young-looking man.
You've always been my favorite, Ron. Have I told you that?
You will discover that, I hope you don't, but you will. You will discover a marked ageism in the business. I always thought that the latter part of my career would be the part that I would experience the most success.
Mm-hmm.
It's proven to be correct, but I believe I may be one of the exceptions to the rule, because I still, in my life, audition for things that I know. To everyone listening here, we're talking about business here, so sorry.
No.
For instance, I'm trying to give you a really good example. The Star Keeper in Carousel.
Uh-huh.
When I started out in the business, that's all I did was musical theater. In those years, I could do roles of that ilk, that age, because I could suggest that modicum of aging.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nowadays, I'm actually the age of those characters, and I'm not the first one they think of, because someone younger can do the role within their budget. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I hope you don't come on this, but if you do, understand it's just one of those things that older performers have to deal with. They don't write for people like my demographic. They don't write for 70-year-old people. So you have to find your own way, which is why I'm blessed to have discovered that I can write for myself and for others and create my own opportunity. I'm so happy I did, because I'm about as happy as anybody else could be, given the fact that I'm still working.
Well, we're happy you did as well, if I may say.
Thank you.
You bet. Anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
Anybody who wants to reach me, if you want to talk, if you want some advice, I tell you what, go to our theater page, SoloChicago Theatre, RE.org, and just drop me a note. Just drop me a note. I am more than interested in talking with other actors in any guise, because I love actors.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, John.
Love you, Ron. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
I
hope we get to do it again real soon. I've learned so much about you and your journey.
Thank you, Pat.
And you're an inspiration to guys like me who are making their way back in and can always sort of reframe the narrative for our own purposes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First round's on me when we get together.
I'm going to hold you to that. Thanks for joining us at the Chicago Theatre Makers Podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The Chicago Theatre Makers Podcast is a production of Spirit Art LLC, and our podcast theme music is by Paul Langford. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please drop us a note at our website, ChiTheaterMakersPodcast.com. That's ChiTheater, makers with an S, podcast.com. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us as much as we enjoyed spending it with you, and we'll see you on the board soon.